Truck drivers, what is the craziest thing you have seen looking down into passenger vehicles? There was a dude playing the violin while driving in rush hour traffic. So many people hitting a bowl and even rolling joints while driving. Women doing their makeup at 80 miles per hour. 60-plus-year-old man reading the newspaper on the steering wheel. Guy in a beat-to-shit minivan with a massive pig in the rear. Like at least 300 pounds. Man on motorcycle with dog and backpack. Young boy in the back seat with a tablet on Pornhub. My friend was a truck driver. He said once he was in a traffic jam, so he was looking around, and the guy next to him was jerking off. What's even crazier, he said the guy waved at him with his other hand. Saw a lady reading a book. At night. With a flashlight. By laying it on the steering wheel. While doing 70 miles per hour on the highway. I'm not a truck driver, but when I was moving to Texas I drove one of those big haul box trucks. Saw a lady watching a movie on her iPad, which leaned up on her steering wheel. I've been very cautious driving in Texas since then lol. My grandma rides on the back of my grandpa's motorcycle and reads. Just so casually. 75 miles per hour? Oh, perfect time to pull out the book. I was driving a box truck into Pittsburgh a few months ago and I was in the passenger lane, and this SUV comes flying up in the left lane but then hovers right next to me. After a few seconds I figured he must be trying to flip me off or something and thought I must have cut him off or something. But no. I looked down and the driver locked eyes with me and I noticed he had his dick as his hand and he was masturbating. Once he was satisfied that I had seen his dick, he sped off. For your information, I'm also a male. Lady in the car ahead of me kept looking down at the seat beside her, literally every 10 seconds or so. I was thinking, geez, how often do you need to check that map? This was way before cell phones. She pulled into the right lane to get on the expressway, and as I pulled up on her left and glanced over, I realized she was knitting. Needle in each hand as she held the wheel, paper pattern lying on the seat. I was on the second floor of a double-decker bus and saw a goat in someone's living room through their window. You didn't ask me, but I have nowhere else to share that. Not a truck driver, but once saw a dude playing the trumpet while driving. Not a euphemism. Actually playing an instrument. Saw a guy dressed as Santa Claus doing this in Louisiana middle of the summer. My personal favorite was a man in a nice dress shirt and tie who was not wearing pants, eating cereal out of a large Tupperware container. My theory is he didn't want to spill milk on his pants while driving. According to my husband, lots of naked women, dudes jerking off, and roadhead. The best is parents teaching their little kids the arm pump to get trucks to honk. While driving an old pickup truck past me, the guy was getting a blowjob, a few miles down the road at the next exit. They both were out of the pickup and the lady was throwing up. Was driving, past a car and had to do a double take. 4 college-aged guys all wearing onesies, and either had a pacifier or a bottle in their mouths. And it looked like they were wearing diapers too. I was like, huh? There's something you don't see every day. I saw a woman in a convertible scratching like she had a ant nest in her knickers. We were stopped at lights. She stopped and really slowly looked up at me. I just smiled at her. I'm sure that was the longest wait at a red light in the history of traffic lights. Passenger recording people in the back seat having sex. A duck with a seatbelt on. Someone grilling what appeared to be hot dogs in a minivan. Passengers hitting the driver. Been driving truck for 10 years. When I got my license I'd hear guys tell all the stories of how many women have flashed them. Let me tell you, in the last 10 years I've seen exactly 0 titties while driving. So I've decided that either other truck drivers are full of shit, women aren't as wild as they used to be, or I don't pay enough attention. I asked a guy once about this, and he told me it happens more on the West Coast. If that's true, then it makes me wonder why West Coast women are wilder than East Coast women. I have personally flashed my titties at the truck driver. I'm a fat hairy dude. Truck driver lost his shit laughing. Made my day. Edit, I live on the West Coast. When I was in college about 20 years ago, my boyfriend was driving and I casually sat in the passenger seat with my tits out as we drove past the semi-truck. I put my shirt back on and we continued to drive. About 15 minutes later we hear a loud honk of a semi-truck. We proceeded to pass a line of, I kid you not, 5 or 6 semi-trucks, and each driver was looking out their window at me. The lead truck was a very angry-looking woman who also looked out her window at me. It didn't hit me until we were further down the road that they radioed ahead that I had my tits out, lined up down the highway. Fucking alerted the other semis we were coming by honking and then looked to see. I absolutely regret putting my shirt back on and not giving them all what they were looking for. I saw someone writing a manual letter while eating a sandwich. Drove with his knee. Don't know how the hell he stayed in a lane. A former coworker was a truck driver at one point. He said he once saw some guy shaving while driving in a convertible. He emphasized that the driver had slathered his face in shaving cream and was using a regular Gillette or whatever TF blade with a big bowl of water right beside him in the passenger seat. The usual half-naked people, all kinds of eating foods, even a guy on the Harley steering with his feet while leaning back against the passenger backrest. Never seen anyone having sex, but most of my runs were early morning and very rural western states. Been flashed by college girls in a Jeep, watched a guy get blown in his new car for 30 miles, watched a young woman in traffic with one foot on the dash, her skirt around her chest and trying to rub the hair off it in the fast lane. Yeah, people do shit in cars all the time. One time I was driving back to Calgary from Golden very late at night, like midnight. So I'm driving along and my grandmother calls me. I answer and start chatting with her as I drive. I'm along a pretty boring stretch after Banff, so the phone call is nice to fill the void. Anyway, I'm cruising along at 100 and I gain on this pickup truck and decide to pass it. After I get back in the right lane, the guy speeds right up to my ass and starts flashing his high beams. I say to my grandma, "Hold on, grandma, this car behind me is trying to get my attention." So this guy starts to pass me and I just keep my eyes forward on the road and let him pass, but he never does. I notice out of the corner of my eye he is just sitting right beside me, annoyingly cruising at my exact speed. So I look down and can't see anything other than headlight because it's too dark. I slow down, he slows down. I speed back up and he follows, just matching my speed. So I just keep my eyes forward, but then I notice his interior light is flashing. I look down into his window and the light turns on. Full-out naked dude driving the truck furiously masturbating. I just say, "Grandma, I've gotta let you go, this guy's jerking off," and hang up. So I give him the old "what the fuck" riz, and he just speeds off. Really ruined my night. Can't believe I said that to my grandma. Edit. Apparently this is way more common than I thought.